Hi. I'm here today in Morgan Rhys Adams's house. She's a lovely lady. I met her quite a while ago now, and she does a lot of rituals and things in Glastonbury and Avebury in other areas, don't you? You do them all over the place, and she's been doing them for a long time. She's had a very interesting life, and we're just going to talk about some of the things she does. She lives in Glastonbury, and she's got a lovely home. It's beautiful. It's surrounded with lots of birds, pictures of birds, and some lovely other artwork, because I think you used to do a lot of art, didn't you? Years ago?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I used to do painting, but also I trained as an art historian.
Yeah.
And I really specialised in 19th century art and design.
Wow.
So that included the Pre-Raphaelites and Victorian
lovely.
Romantics,
That's
as people
lovely.
like to call them.
Yeah. How long did you do that for?
Oh, well, for years really. I taught at art college.
Yeah. That wasn't in Glastonbury, was it? That was
No, that was in the Midlands.
Yeah. So how long have you been in Glastonbury?
Well, I've been here exactly 10 years. Well, it was the end of February.
Yeah.
It was my 10th anniversary here.
Wow. And what pulled you to Glastonbury, do you think?
An opportunity came to move here, and I really did want to get out of the city.
Yeah.
So here I am.
Yeah. And it's lovely you're here. So we're going to have a look at some of your stuff. Well, before we started filming, Morgan was showing me. Can you show him that vulture?
The vulture.
Yeah.
Just a moment.
She does this for healing. Is it healing that you use this for?
Yeah. Here's the Vulture Pan. It's half of a wing. I was told it was a young vulture found dead on the road in Europe somewhere. That a friend found, and she made 4 fans out of the wings.
Yeah.
And I've used it in situations where people need to have, let's say, lots of negative things stripped away from them, because vultures eat all the dead, unwanted stuff. And so with it, I call in the spirit of the vulture.
Right.
And the person can talk about their stuff or not, but I will just visualise, stuff falling off them, and I'll use the wing, to work on the etheric body with it.
Yeah.
And as this negative stuff comes away, vulture comes in and eats it.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
Yeah. Getting rid of all the negative and bringing in positive. That's lovely. So what's this around your neck as well?
My neck?
Yeah,
I'm wearing Vervain
and
inside this locket.
Yeah, could you tell us about that?
Well, Vervain's a very magical herb. It's one of the most magical of herbs, because when you're working magically with plants, Vervain will sort of supersede anything really. So, if you were missing something out of your mixture, your whatever, you can use Vervain, and it's got a very long history of being used magically, and the bards used to use it to aid their creativity and self-confidence and so on.
So you've got it inside.
So I wear it in my locket. Yeah.
Can you show the camera?
Yeah, if I open that up, and there I've got some dried Vervain leaf. It doesn't have a scent.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No. And what I do when I've got, in the late summer, when I've got a lot of Vervain growing, I make Lustral Water. Vervain Lustral Water, because with that you can clean all your magical utensils and sanctify your sacred space or your altar with it. And,
that sounds lovely. That's really nice.
Yeah.
So, let's go back to the rituals you do as well. Yeah. You do them in Avebury and in Glastonbury as well, don't you?
Yeah.
So, talk about the Avebury ones first.
Well, at Avebury, I've been running the Gorsedd of the Bards of Caerhunbury for a very long time. It's something like 12 or 13 years now I've been running it. And the Gorsedd itself was started in 1993
Oh,
by Philip Shellcrass,
okay.
and at some point he got Emma Restalaw involved with that. The two of them ran it for a few years.
Yeah.
But life issues came up, and I was asked if
And-
I would take it over.
And you've run a moot, haven't you, as well?
Sorry?
A moot. You've run
No, I don't run a moot anymore.
But you used to, didn't you?
I used to. First few years I was here, I ran the moot for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You enjoy that?
Yeah, I called it Glastonbury Under the Stars,
Okay, that sounds nice.
and it was a monthly moot.
Yeah.
And but I eventually, gave that up
Yeah.
and concentrated on the ceremonies here.
Yeah. Ceremonies.
And call those Glastonbury Under the Stars as well,
Yeah.
because I always do them at sunset or just after.
Yeah. And there was one just before Christmas, wasn't there?
Yes, on the winter solstice.
Yeah.
I did the mistletoe rite that I do annually.
And what happens there?
Well, at the sacred mistletoe rite, it starts with people bringing in their old dead mistletoe, because we've got some hanging up
Do you
over
wanna
there.
have a-
If you want to have a look at that.
And that's for next year's, isn't it?
And that will be, I will burn that next year.
Yeah.
But you burn your old mistletoe, and then we bless the new mistletoe and bring that down.
Yeah.
And that is shared by everybody
Yeah.
to take home and hang in their homes
Mm.
for a year and a day.
So, you work a lot with birds, though, don't you? That's what the energy I get with you. You work a lot with
It
birds.
seems
and-
that way, yes, my totem animals.
Yeah. Can we just have a look at some of the things you've got in your house? So we just go around and
Yeah.
see some of the pictures.
Yeah.
Have a look at the birds on the walls and things. Who done that picture there?
Yes, I've got the lovely painting there I bought of a raven.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah.
And the stuff is in the pot. And that.
And we've got the print here by that's the Morrigan, the circle of the Morrigan, that's got ravens on it. I do love my corvids.
Yeah.
And I've got a family of crows that I feed every morning,
Yeah.
and they come and see me.
Yeah, that's lovely. So do you want to talk about those little fairies you got up there?
Oh, you've spotted my fairies.
Yeah.
Well, let me introduce you to them. This is Russell McCrackle, and this is his friend, the sensational Septimus Sorrel. And they share my home, and I usually bring them to the fore at Yule, and then they tend to go away for the summer. But I am going to write a little book about them, The Adventures of Septimus Sorrel, it's going to be called.
Oh, cool.
So that's the plan.
Are they mischievous at night, do you think? when you
Sorry?
go to bed? Do you think they're mischievous at night, these fairies?
Oh, they're very mischievous, yes.
Yeah.
They're up to all sorts of things, especially in Glastonbury.
Talking about books, you mentioned this to me just before we started. Do you want to say about this book here?
Oh, wait a sec.
Yeah, there's a shot of that.
Can you get it?
Yeah,
Um,
got it.
And who's this book by?
Well, this is by Julie Brett, who is a former pupil of mine. When I first came to Glastonbury, I hadn't been here very long, and I met her, and she asked me if I would take her on as a pupil.
Yeah.
And so I did, and we worked together for about 6 months. It would have
Yeah.
been longer, but it was an interesting thing, because one day I asked her, why is it that Australians celebrate a midwinter festival in the middle of summer?
Right.
And of course she got no answer to that, and nobody has really, because let's face it, Christmas is a midwinter feast,
Yeah.
and it never has been anything else.
Yeah.
And yet in the southern hemisphere they're doing it in the middle of summer, and it doesn't make any sense. And So we got talking about the cycles of nature in Australia, and she realised that she'd got to look into this, and I said, well, the only people that really are in tune with the cycles of nature are the Aboriginals. And eventually she said, you know, I've got to go back and look into it, I've got to do this work. And so sadly for me, she went back. And she set up a thing called Druids Down Under, which has gone from strength to strength. They've got over 2,000 members now, and this year they're having a national gathering. So that's a big thing for Australia, because it's a huge, huge country, as you know. But anyway, at the same time, she's brought this book out, and she's based it on the teachings that she had with me, and she's worked out a whole ceremonial sequence that's for Australia.
That's lovely.
I think it's really fantastic.
It's really good that you could.
And I'm really proud of her actually. Really proud of her. And she messaged me and said, asked for my address, and said, as I was the first person, the credit, she wanted me to be the first person to read it.
Oh,
so isn't that lovely?
I know,
I know.
Really nice.
She's written a lovely dedication site. But she's a great person, and if
really
anyone
cool.
wants to see what people are doing on the other side of the world in terms of paganism,
I mean,
you know,
also
it's
the
a new
Aborigines,
thing.
they're really magical people in their own right, aren't they?
Absolutely,
They really listen
That's
to spirit,
right.
and they work with nature so closely, don't they?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, she created an organ system
Wow.
for Australia using the Australian trees, and she brought out, you know, we have a Wheel of the Year. Well, she brought out a Wheel of the Year first of all, and so it's just gone on,
That sounds
ending
great.
up with this book.
Yeah. That's
And what's
lovely.
interesting, because
Where can we get this book?
well, I think you could order it from a bookshop.
Has it got a price on it?
It says $6.99 in
That's
the
really
UK.
good then. That's
Sounds like a bargain
and,
to
and
me.
what's her name again?
Julie Brett.
Julie Brett.
Yeah, Julie
So
Brett.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah. And the thing is
Very
that
embroidery.
the Gorsedd rite that I do, I follow a pattern, but of course over the years I brought in a lot of my own things, if you like, and one of them is something we do called the Round of Amagine, which is the way that we honour the spirits of place by each person in the circle invoking something in that place at that moment with the words I am, as Amagine did. And it was a guy in my grove in the Midlands who called it the Round of Amagine, and they're doing it in Australia, so isn't that amazing?
It's so good that you could be the seed for her to do that.
You know, it's just
amazing.
marvellous, isn't it?
It is, it is.
Yeah, so
And it's,
pleased to
and it's
have.
quite a nice light book, isn't it? So it feels
It
like,
is,
it's not like
it's not
Sorry
a
to
tome,
interrupt,
but it's
but
got
have
a
you
lot of
got
stuff in it.
have she got a website that you could buy the book off?
Have you got
Or-
a website you could buy the book off? Just
I think you could find Julie Brett on Facebook and find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it says Moon Books on the back. I think it's quite so that's nice.
But it's in that Pagan Portals series, and I'm sure you can probably get it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's for the future?
The future, well, Julie's written a book, and I think, gosh, where's my book?
Exactly. Where is your book? We want to see a book from you, Morgan.
I
think you've got so
know,
many stories
it's a
to
long
tell.
time since I wrote a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. So you wrote books, haven't you?
Years and years ago I wrote a book
And what
about
was your
church plates.
Church plate.
Yeah,
Okay.
chalices,
Oh
mainly.
right. Okay. yeah.
Well, I worked at Birmingham Cathedral for a while
Oh right.
and studied their church plate and wrote. I wrote about it.
Have you got a copy of that?
Not handy, no. It's tucked away somewhere.
Okay. So it's time for a new one.
It's time for one.
So what do you think you would do? Would you write a book on that? Would it be about ceremonies or
It might be about ceremonies or some.
about the fairies?
Well, that might be a separate little thing, I think.
That sounds quite interesting.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
think.
fun. I'd like that.
But I'd write something more serious,
Yeah.
I think, about
Yeah.
Druidry and ceremony.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, you've got the mistletoe ritual, and you're doing the Avebury. Is there anything else coming up for you?
Yes, well, Avebury's coming up Sunday week.
Okay. What date would that be?
That'll be the 19th for the equinox.
Yeah. And will you be doing something up there then?
Yes, I will.
And,
We meet at Avebury at noon outside the cafe.
okay.
And
Is anybody welcome to join you?
everyone's welcome to come and
Okay.
join.
Yeah.
It's a completely open
Circle.
circle.
Yeah.
And the more the merrier.
Mm.
And following that, it will be here. No, we'll have Beltane. Then we do one at Avebury for Beltane, and then following that,
Sneeze. Sorry.
bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you. It'll be the eve of Solstice
Yeah.
ritual here in the summer.
Okay, so that's
So there's a few coming up.
there's a few coming up. So
Yeah,
that'll be good.
yeah.
And all your rituals at Avebury are open, and the same with the ones in
Same
Glastonbury.
here,
Yeah, so
too,
Glastonbury, so
yeah.
anybody can come along to
Yes.
this, which is
And
really...
I put the ones here. I put them in the oracle.
Mm. And so this is your card here.
Yeah.
So you can you get your website? You can get you on Facebook here, and do you know that I haven't got my glasses on me, actually?
What?
Um,
Yes, you can find me on Facebook under Morgan Rhys Adams, and my email address, should you want it, is beatabeatrixx@gmail.com.
Wow. And you've got a phone number as well on the file as well.
Yes. Should I put that on, do you think?
It's up to you.
Let's put it on because I do put it in the oracle.
Yeah.
01458 835 518.
And if you're in Glastonbury and you want to come to the rituals in Glastonbury, and also the ones in Avebury and that, to give you a ring. And you also do hand fastings, and you do lots of healings and all sorts of things.
I do distance
This is a
Reiki.
lady of many talents.
I do runes, read the runes.
Oh yeah. Okay. Runes.
Yeah.
But you work a lot mostly with the energy of the bird, don't you? And you're saying that you've got a group of birds you feed every morning, don't you?
Yes, my crow family.
Yeah. And you feel really
They're so
connected to them.
beautiful.
Mm.
Sorry?
You feel really connected to them.
I do, yeah.
Lovely. Okay. Well, thank you for talking to me today.
It's a pleasure.
And, don't forget to subscribe, Danielle Silver Medium. Bye.
Bye. Bye.